In a world filled with sniveling snowflakes, where timeouts and safe places are abundant, where there's 37 genders to scroll through in a job application. Not that they have jobs. We're proud to be your salvation and your beacon to unabashed, in-your-face talk. This is Stars, Bars, and Cigars, the no-holds-barred conservative talk show hosted by battle-tested vets. Lock and load and get ready for an explosive journey through breaking news, the rich tapestry of constitutional history, and the pulse-pounding realities of Army and Navy life. Oh, and yeah, cigars. Stars, Bars, and Cigars. And now your hosts, Jimmy the Bull and Tig Tigger.
Hey, Patriots and Snowflakes. Tig, how are ya?
Great, Bull. How the hell are you?
I'm doing well. On this fine Easter evening.
Happy Easter, everybody, if that's
Happy
what you're into.
Easter. Yeah. We'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later here in the program. But first, we're going to talk a little bit about the first 100 days of Trump. We've seen deportations and we've seen non-deportations. We've seen tariffs and we've seen non-tariffs. We've seen Doge and we've seen non-Doge and then re-Doge. Release of the EPI files and then the non-release of the EPI files and so on and so on and so on. So I guess we've seen it quite a bit.
Yeah.
But we'll talk a little bit more about this in detail. Wow. But first, what are you smoking, Tig?
All right. This is interesting. It's a Perla Del Mar shade. It's a Toro. It's put out by J.C. Newman. J.C. Newman. Now, this is an interesting cigar. I have not smoked this before. Let me just give you a little deal on this. It's the origin's Nicaragua. It's filler and binder is Nicaragua. The wrapper is Equator, Connecticut. It's got notes of acid. Yeah, Ecuador. Well, the wrapper. Yeah. It's got some creamy and spice notes to it. It's handmade, but with a box press style to it. Yeah, like a box press. Even though it's handmade, they do a box press style to it. This smoke is interesting because it's only about a $7 or $8 cigar, like roughly $8. Okay. And what's interesting about it being roughly $8, let me tell you the ratings on this dang thing. Okay. Cigar Aficionado gave it a rating of 90. Cigar and Spirits gave it a rating of 91. Cigar Insider gave it a rating of 90. And Cigar Snob gives it a rating of 91. So it's going to be real interesting for the price to see how this smokes, because I'll tell you what, I'm pretty enthusiastic about it for the money.
Yeah, sounds like a good smoke, man.
Yeah, so I'll have to ask me later on how I'm feeling about it. So yeah. So what do you got going there tonight for your smoke?
I got this really interesting smoke myself. I got this, it's called the Room 101, the Big Payback. And it's a big son of a bitch. It's like a 70 ring gauge by 7 inches long. So it's like a thick phallic type of a smoke. Not that I like that, but
it's 420. You didn't lace that with anything, did you?
No, not today, man. Not today.
Okay.
But 420, smoke them if you got them. We're talking about some cigars or whatever you're fancy.
We'll talk about some instinction in 420 in a bit here too. Some instinctive things about 420. A little bit of a thing here. I mean,
a
little thing. Easter 420.
A little bit here. This one here is made by Matt Booth, who is a jeweler, from what I understand, and he developed a line of cigars to complement his jewelry. So he came up with Room 101, the Big Payback, and they're all pretty decent sized cigars. So they're 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 big cigars. They range from different types of fillers and so on and so forth. But this particular one is a Maduro, and this one here is a big fat bastard, 70 gauge, like I said before.
70 gauge. What do you got? A dildo for your smoke?
Yeah, pretty much. It's a mouthful. That's why I like hit it at the end, kind of like.
I'll mention dildo later on, folks.
There's a bunch of dildos.
Wow.
But this stick features a slightly oiled Connecticut broadleaf wrapper. It's kind of, I don't know, it's almost cheaply made. The wrapper is kind of cheaply made, but it's not too bad. It's lightly oiled, so it's got a nice appearance to it. They say it's supposed to have a barnyard flavor at the very beginning, but I'm not really getting that. The first puff on it, I was like expecting it, but it didn't.
Describe to the audience what a barnyard flavor is.
Well, a barnyard flavor, number one, it kind of tastes like shit. Just
I wanted you to say that too.
Yeah. So
that's brilliant.
Got like a shit flavor, of grass and smelly kind of barnyard taste to get in your mouth.
Sucking on some straw.
Straws, yeah. So
smoking some dry straw.
But I didn't get that at the very beginning. I got kind of like the cocoa hints right away, so it didn't give me that barnyard flavor at first. So, but they do say it's supposed to be the fillers are from Honduras, Nicaragua, and the Dominican Republic. So, and they say it's about a medium-bodied cigar. So, and that's about right from what I'm smoking it so far. It feels like about a medium-bodied. But the flavors, like I said, are barnyard, smooth notes of cream and leather and cocoa. So I'll see if it holds consistent through. But yeah, so there was like a shitty birthday today, right? Or I shouldn't say quite shitty, but it's somebody's birthday, right?
It's 420, so it's Easter, but it's also the pagan god of Ishtar celebration. And it's 420 for all the marijuana smokers out there, of course, and I'm sure they all lit up today. But it's also the birthday of Adolf Hitler. So all you pot smokers out there, you Nazi pot smokers out there, I guess smoke them if you got them for Adolf. Celebrate his birthday.
And then Jesus risen today. So
now here's the thing. Some people argue with that. Now, I just for a moment here, we're not going to do
like 3 days after.
We're not going to do a sermon here, but he died supposedly on Good Friday afternoon, and he was supposed to have risen 3 days.
Right.
Now, if you take Friday afternoon to Saturday afternoon, that's 1 day. Right. Saturday afternoon to Sunday is 2 days. Sunday afternoon to Monday afternoon is 3 days. The Monday is the third day, and it's the first day of the week. All right. So I wonder, we're celebrating on a Sunday the risen Christ that he rose, and they've been preaching it, teaching it forever. But did he actually die on Sunday, or did he die exactly 3 days after Friday afternoon, approximately 3 p.m., which would make it approximately Monday, 3 p.m. that he would have rose? Because Christ said he was going to rise in 3 days, and it's written that he rose in 3 days. Well, I don't think Christ would be inaccurate about the 3 days. Right. So if he actually rose in 3 exact days, 36 hours, that would be Monday afternoon.
Right.
But yet we celebrate the resurrected Christ on Sunday, Easter. But yet the pagan god of Ishtar is also celebrated on that Sunday, that particular Sunday of this year, around the same time Easter.
Right.
So things that make you go, folks.
Yeah. So what is the
research that if you want?
Yeah. All right. You good on that?
Yeah, I'm good on that. Okay.
All right.
Everybody, smoke them for Hitler. Because us conservatives are such fascists, of course.
I kind of wanted to move this program kind of into the government criminals.
You want to talk about that before April 19th? Before yesterday's
I'm sorry.
historic?
Let's do the April 19th. That's fine.
Okay. Well, first of all, my girlfriend's birthday was April 19th, was Saturday, yesterday, and we had our kids come over. We had a nice cookout on the grill. Nice. Some very, very good meats. I know you vegans probably don't approve, but I don't really give a damn because it was a good time, good food. And, it was fun.
Yeah.
And so happy birthday, Michelle. And the 19th is distinctive because we have some anniversaries on the 19th. 250th anniversary of the first battle of the Revolutionary War, that being Lexington and Concord, occurred on April 19th. The first shots fired.
The shot heard around the world.
Yes. And, if you ask me, I think we're getting down to where we're going to need another Lexington and Concord pretty soon, but I've been saying that for a long time. Also, the anniversary, April 19th, was the anniversary of 30 years of 1995 Oklahoma City federal building bombing, which, that was Timothy McVeigh and a couple helpers. But now some people are saying the CIA was behind that. So you can research that on your own, folks. Go down the rabbit hole. Also, it was the end of the Branch Davidian incident in Waco, Texas, where the ATF and FBI thugs criminally, folks, set the compound on fire. You still got a few sheeple out there that believe the government narrative, the whole narrative behind that the Branch Davidians set it on fire. Well, they never did set it on fire. Okay. The CS gas that was actually banned by the Geneva Convention was illegally used by our government. They put it in there. They smoked them in the compound with all that gas, knowing that they had just cut the power off, the electricity off, and that the only way they were keeping the place lit was candlelight. Right. And the CS gas is highly flammable. So they knew. Plus, they knew that lots of babies, lots of children in there that suffered before they died because they don't make gas masks for children and babies.
No.
And not that the Branch Davidians would have necessarily had masks for those babies and children, even if they did make them. So the government is guilty of killing 25 children to this day, and women along with it, and some men, using fire and gas to torture them. And I think the government should have been, I heard they were compensated. Bullshit, okay? The government, the whole entire FBI of that day, ATF of that day, everybody responsible, including the Clinton administration, they should be guilty of crimes against humanity, and they should be rightfully charged. Absolutely. I'm saying that because it still pisses me off to this very day, because I know the facts on this, and piss on what the government narrative is, because we know the government never tells the truth, and they're guilty. So, that being said, we can move on.
All right, we can jump into the government criminals then. Since we kind of just spoke about one of them, a couple of them actually. So, but MAGA, like I said before in the last several episodes, MAGA demands blood, man. Where are the arrests? Why aren't we seeing these? That's how MAGA's kind of getting screwed on this deal because, we demand blood on this deal.
We voted for a lot of things. We're not going to get nothing from this Congress and the Senate majority because they're lame. They suck. It's the same shit all the time, no matter who you vote for. The Trump administration, we had guys like Kash Patel, and I don't like Pam Bondi, but we expected, Kash Patel wrote a book, Government Gangsters. Right. We expect We expected. I mean, yeah, they're working on the border crisis. Okay, great. They're working on the economy. Okay, but they've been kind of flipping on that back and forth. They're claiming some stuff that, oh, we're getting better. Yeah, the economy is going to I think what's going to happen is America, they're working on business agreements and deals and stuff like that and tariffs. They want to make the government, make the country as a whole money, make them wealthy again, work on an empire. Look, folks, I hear this empire word being used all the time. It was used by Dick Cheney. Our constitutional republic was really meant to be small government. And it was never meant to be an empire.
Right.
And so that's what they're doing. They're making, okay, they're going to make America wealthy again, like they said, and they're working on it and they're making headway with it. And, you know, they're making headway with the border, I guess. We'll talk about a couple dipshits, shitbags later about that. But the thing is, we haven't seen any movement towards these deep state swamp criminals that need to be indicted. I mean, and the NGOs, you got the Faucis of the world, need to be indicted, need to be charged. The Clintons, the Obamas, the Bidens, the Adam Schiffs, you know, the list goes on. There's a tall laundry list of people guilty of treason, money laundering, human trafficking. You know, what's the other one? Well, general crimes against humanity in general. Okay. Why haven't we seen anything or heard anything? We haven't heard nothing about the Epstein list. Oh, supposedly they have it. Never showed us it. Never talked about it. Shoveled it under the rug. Where's the movement? I mean, I've had people say, oh, well, give them time. It's only been a few months. That should have been on the top priority list. I mean, we should be hearing some stuff. Okay. Now, what did you say, Bull? What did I say? What did we talk about? The discussion of what they may be doing and waiting for?
Yeah, well, I've come across some interesting scenarios. One of them is that they were probably going to wait before midterms to release the arrest, you know, and the indictments. So that would make a lot of sense, to be really honest with you.
That would hurt some credibility of Democrats, that's for sure.
Yeah, and you know, maybe it's just a matter of timing.
Yeah, could be. They could be waiting. Some of us are a little impatient. Well, you know, I think, Bull, you and I, we've suffered from hurry up and wait way too long, way too many times.
Not only that, but the Dems have been very proactive on, you know, passing out indictments and, you know, started with the J6ers, you know, and it just snowballed, you know, and Trump has been in, you know, the courts and been impeached, and, you know, so he's no stranger to it. So, you know, why are the Republicans so fucking weak?
Payback should be a bitch, especially for the real criminals.
The payback.
You know, and the Republican Party is, oh my gosh, they're just so weak. I mean, they're not a whole lot better than the Democrats these days. What are they doing? They haven't done anything. They take more damn vacations.
Right.
You know, don't do nothing. I haven't seen much movement.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're on a 2-week hiatus right now, aren't they? Fucking.
Yeah, well, and
bucks.
You know, and then the Senate and stuff, they're trying to actually take away the power of Trump and the power of the president to do tariffs. They say, and they may actually have a point when they say that constitutionally those powers go to the House.
Right.
But here's the thing. When you have a do-nothing House that absolutely does nothing, and the only time they cry about the Constitution is when it actually suits them, not the actual Constitution itself, nor the people in which they're supposed to represent. So they're just playing their stupid games again, playing their little power grab again by saying this. Trump's doing is he's trying to put on tariffs because really these countries have been ripping us off for years, folks. So, and tariffs will at least bring these companies and bring these jobs back to our country.
Yeah, you know, most definitely. So, you know, and a lot of the criminals that, you know, we're kind of referring to, like Fauci and Biden's Obama and
Yeah.
Clinton's, you know, Comey and McCabe's and Charles Schwab and Bill Gates. I mean,
Klaus.
Klaus. Yeah, Klaus. That's right.
Schwab. If anybody ever sounded like a Nazi, it's that guy.
And he was probably part of Paperclip, huh?
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. He's old enough.
Yeah, he's old enough.
Let's research that and see if he was part of Operation Paperclip, one of the Nazis that was basically, well, not necessarily brought over to America, but was actually, you know, basically pardoned, so to speak.
Yeah.
He's probably belonged to the Waffen SS too.
Yeah, probably so. But, you know, those guys have committed so many fucking crimes, and, you know, why aren't they paying for this shit? You know, Fauci, I just read a fucking article today about him bringing over, like, tainted fucking meats and feeding it to, like, dogs and cats in the United States, and they funded this with, like, $22 billion. Mm-hmm. And they were trying to see what, you know, what type of viruses and such would, you know, correlate or move over into pets that could possibly, you know, be, you know, transferred into humans. So, I mean, that's some fucking sick shit, man.
And they want to use the mRNA. They've already confirmed the mRNA. They want to start injecting the livestock with it. You know, if it isn't bad enough that they're putting geoengineered parasitic dyes and shit into our food and drink and all kinds of bad chemicals and stuff. And now they want to inject the kill shot into the livestock in which we're supposed to eat. And then them sons of bitches continue to poison our air with the chemtrails. Right. I mean, why aren't these people being held accountable right stinking now? That's another thing. RFK Jr., come on, man, get to work. Let's make some movement here.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be busting balls, you know, from day one.
Let's get it going here. See, this is the problem. MAGA. It looks like MAGA is getting screwed here because we're not seeing anything getting done.
No.
All right. And we're seeing these NGO people. We're seeing these Fauci people. Nothing's happening to him.
No.
This son of a bitch should have been hung a long time ago, along with Bill Gates.
To get a pardon, usually it's because you committed a crime, but he was never indicted for anything. So
well, and here's the thing:
pardon's null and void. You know, in my book,
that was an illegal, unconstitutional pardon, and it was done by an illegal, unconstitutional president who was not duly elected. Okay, and the proof is out there. That's another thing, man. I would have thought that they would have been getting on it about 2020 and about election fraud. And start making arrests on all those who were behind the election fraud, and start bringing out all that evidence that they have, you know, and get to a point where we can stop election fraud from here on out. Because I'm pretty sure the last special election in Wisconsin, I'm pretty sure there was fraud there too.
Well, yeah, not only that, but you know, we got midterms coming up, and you know, I mean, they're gonna fucking cheat. You know, we know this. They are going to cheat the next election, period. They do not want the Republicans to stay in power.
So they need to bring out this evidence from 2020, and we need to start indicting these assholes.
Fuck yeah.
For constitutional, it's in the Constitution that about election fraud, and it's there. Okay, how come you and I, Bull? We'd be arrested. We'd be put in prison for this kind of shit. How come the powers that be get away with everything, including murder, which they get away with? Yeah. This is ridiculous. This is not what we voted for. It's we the people. We the people. We the people of the United States under the Constitution. We are the boss. We have the power. And we're letting these people walk all over us and get away with murder while, you know, we're the ones that have to pay the price. And, all the time.
The other thing too, Tig, is you know, the things that we're kind of getting screwed on. We were told that fuel prices were going to come down. I mean, they came down a little bit, but
they went right back up, though, didn't they?
Yep, they went right the fuck back up, and now, diesel should be in the $2 range. So should gasoline. Gasoline should be low $2 range.
I think I paid last year. I think I paid something like, what was it, 3.5 for 91 octane. Now it's like up to four something.
420.
Yeah. I haven't seen, and they're saying the grocery prices have gone down. Where I really don't see it all that much, if any. Some products might have gone down, but not that much. We shouldn't be paying more than $2 a dozen for $2 for about a dozen eggs.
Yeah,
we shouldn't be paying more than $2 for a dozen eggs.
Yeah,
really. I mean, it's insane. And I don't see them. They keep saying, "Oh, the grocery price is going down, going down." They said it on Fox Business. I haven't seen it.
Blow smoke up our ass,
Yeah.
We're the ones out at the fucking grocery store, so we see it.
Yeah. Don't piss down our backs and tell us it's raining. All right. Because fuck that. We don't see that. We see gas prices still high. We see certain products in the grocery store still high. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
The
other thing too, Tig, is the crypto markets are just fucking tanked. They're just totally tanked right now, And what's it going to take? I mean, what's it going to take to move this shit?
Well, all the experts say, invest in precious metals.
Right.
Silver has withstood the test of time as a currency.
Yeah. Well,
that reminds me, we should actually go back to the gold standard anyway in this country.
Yeah, and I think that's what they wanted to do. That's why
get rid of the Federal Reserve.
Yeah. That'd be a good thing. A really good thing.
Yeah. Oh, and people are starting to catch on about taxation. People are starting to get pissed off. They're finding out, you know what? Taxation is theft, especially without representation.
Why are we, dude?
Yeah. Why are we paying? Why are we paying property tax? Why are we paying tax on something we actually own?
Yeah, you pay your house off. Why are you paying a fucking property tax?
Why are we paying tax?
Why
are we paying tax on our earnings when, we earned it? All right. Why does the government get a right to take half our earnings? Why?
No.
We don't need taxes to pay for every stinking thing. They always say, "Oh, you need to have taxes in this country to pay for programs."
No, you don't.
We're already seeing that most of that tax dollars went towards wasteful spending, stupid programs. Like giving trans surgeries to foreign countries, foreign aid.
But a lot of this money was being given to other countries in promise for a laundered money back. Yeah. So, a lot of these fucking,
they've gotten rich off of kickbacks.
Yep.
Your representatives have gotten wealthy, made millions off of taxpayer kickbacks by making deals with foreign countries, by giving foreign aid to them, only to have them give some of it back to specific politicians.
Yeah.
Lindsey Graham, Schumer, Mitch McConnell. Hey, I can go on with that list, folks.
Yeah,
I did it one other time. So, they've made millions while you are probably struggling, and Biden's another one. So why do they have the right to get wealthy off of kickbacks? Right. For your tax dollars that are getting wasted on so-called foreign aid. Right. All right. First of all, we wouldn't need to tax the public for programs if we continue to make money off of American goods and business and stopped giving so much money to foreigners. Stop giving money to countries. Stop giving money to wasteful pork spending programs like smelling. Like researching the smell of hog shit. I mean,
well, that wasn't the only fucking robbery that they did, with our money. Social Security is another one where they gave out like 2 million Social Security numbers
to illegals,
illegal invader fucks,
and dead people, and people that haven't even been born yet. And see, and then I don't get it. Okay, then you got these liberal fucking idiot turds that are whining about it. Oh, they're pissed off at Elon Musk and they're pissed off at Doge. They're discovering your money, folks, being wasted. They're exposing the corruption. Why are you that stupid?
Yeah.
Oh, I get it. Because y'all lost your shit back in 2016 when your heartthrob Hillary Clinton was defeated. You haven't actually had your brain since then because you totally all went and lost your minds. And then COVID helped out too because you complied with COVID. So you all became mentally ill. And now you're freaking out over Elon Musk. Well, I'm sorry. I don't trust him entirely, but when he's exposing corruption and government wasteful spending, I got to say, hey, keep doing it because that's what he is doing right. And no, he was appointed as an advisor to Trump. He's not calling the shots. He's just exposing the crap, the corruption. Now, if you want to get mad at something, get mad at why they're saying all this corruption and all this wasteful spending has happened and nothing's really getting done about it yet.
Right.
All right. Because I think that the American public is owed some money.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know, start cutting checks. Start cutting checks, Trump administration, treasurer. Start cutting the checks to the people because you owe the people a whole lot of money.
Well, speaking of dumb Dems, what about the dumb fucks that want these fucking criminals brought back? That's like the stupidest fucking thing I've heard in my life.
Now you just opened up a whole thing that just angers me.
Absolutely.
I'm hot about this. You know that Maryland Democrat senator demanding that the illegal from El Salvador gets returned back? I'm going to say the name. Rachel Moreland, 2023. Rachel Moreland, a blonde-haired young lady, was brutally raped and murdered and had her skull caved in about 20 times from a stone, from a rock, brutally murdered by an illegal son of a bitch. All right. And now these Democrat senators want to bring him back. They want to defend him. You're going to defend a heinous, murdering piece of shit like that should be executed on the spot?
What they had to do is bring him back and fucking execute him.
Kill him, yes.
They just need to bring him back and execute him, and that's the end of it. You know,
for you Democrat politicians that are defending this evil piece of shit. If he comes back,
he will be executed. You know, just say it.
I think they ought to, you know, that ought to be a no-brainer. I mean, and
why doesn't Trump just say,
don't put him on death row?
Look, you know, if we bring him back, you know, we will try him and we will find him guilty. And
don't put him on death row because here's another thing: he has no rights.
No,
execute him right away. You stupid politicians, you stupid asshole Democrats that want to say, well, he's got constitutional rights. No illegal alien, no illegal person here. Just because they lived here illegally, because they were shipped here, brought here, and the borders were open illegally, has the right to a constitutional rights, the Bill of Rights, anything. They do not have constitutional rights. They were here illegally. They are not legal citizens. They do not have constitutional rights. So fuck you assholes up in Congress and the Senate that say otherwise. And let me tell you something else for you Dems, for you senators and you congressmen that want to bring him back, that want to defend him. You need to be unseated. You need to be impeached. Yep. That's treason. That's treason. Right. He's a criminal. He killed an American. He will kill more Americans. Not only that, rape and murder. He should be executed, and every other person that is guilty of that same crime should be instantly executed.
Yep.
There should be justice. Justice for that female that was brutally raped and murdered. There should be justice for her and justice for her mother who has to suffer the pain of the description of how her daughter was brutally murdered and raped. So all you Congress people, Democrat voters, the mainstream media that continues to defend this kind of shit, fuck, you guys are the epitome of evil. You're the epitome of evil. You don't belong here in this country either. And I say this, any illegal that was living here but is not a legal citizen, did not go through the proper process, they don't have constitutional rights. They don't have a right to have a license to drive. They don't have a right to a social security card. They don't have a right to the constitutional rights that we have. And if they're guilty of murder and rape, they should be instantly put to death. Period.
Yeah.
Now,
not sit on fucking sitting on death row. That's reserved for citizens.
Pisses me off that they get away with this. I'll tell you what, man. If that happened to one of my loved ones, I'd say, yeah, bring him back so I can kill his fucking ass. And you know what? The punishment for that crime, the punishment should fit that crime. Right. That guy that raped her repeatedly and murdered her, beat her to death, that son of a bitch, he should get ass raped by a cattle prod, and then he should be put to death by getting beaten to death himself with a big boulder upside his fucking head.
Right.
Sorry, folks, but I am very heated about this, very angry about this. And we need to do something about this now. And you know what? If Blackwater is going to come back, if the contractors are going to come back and they're going to start shipping out, they're going to start getting some of these illegals, rounding them up and shipping them out. You know what? Make it a lot easier on us. Don't ship them out. If they resist, kill them.
Yeah. And
because they're illegal invaders. All right. They're illegal invaders. They are an enemy of the state. We have the right to say, kill them. They are terrorists. Hey, Bull, you mentioned something about driving. You were going to say, because you're a driver.
Well, what's coming up is the DOT week, where DOT basically does inspection week, and they puts people out of service that are driving around in garbage, that should be really taken off the road pretty much. And it also looks at driver fitness, and I think this is where they should clean up the DOT CDL license that was given to all these illegal invaders as well, because they were speed tracked on getting these CDLs, and they don't speak English and they can't write the fucking English. So why are they even here? I was in a DOT, I had to go in and just see what they needed from me, and the guy before me, he was an illegal. Well, I wouldn't say he's illegal, but he couldn't speak English. And the officer was having a hard time communicating with this person. And finally,
that's nonsense.
She got so pissed off, she's like, "Get out of here! Just go, get." She was pointing at the door, and the guy just turned around and walked away. He
should have his license revoked. He should have never had it in the first place. You need to have to speak our. You know what? To be a legal citizen, you should have to actually speak it, read, write the English language. Period. They teach the kids English, how to read and write. The citizens, we all know how to do it. In certain countries like Russia and that, you have to be a citizen, you have to learn how to read, write, and speak the language.
Right.
All right. So they don't deserve to have jobs. They don't deserve to have licenses. They certainly don't have constitutional rights. And if they're not going through the correct process, they need to hit the bricks. And I'll tell you what, if they are going through the correct process, by the end of that process, if they're going to become legal citizens, they better know how to speak the language. They better speak it, and they better even be able to read and write it and comprehend it. So,
absolutely,
we need to shut this shit down in a heartbeat.
Going back just a few minutes ago when we were talking about that piece of shit, Chris Van Hollen, the one
from
Maryland.
There we go.
Yeah, he was told no. And then he fucking goes down to El Salvador on the people's dime, to talk to this dude. So
he should be impeached.
Yeah,
he should be impeached for treason. Then he should be brought up on charges.
Absolutely.
There's a female too. I think she was a congresswoman who was going to do the same thing as he was going to go over there.
Cory Booker was supposed to go too. So
he's a big piece of shit. He's a shit bag.
Let him go and let him stay there. They can stay at that fucking prison.
This female, I think she's a congresswoman. I don't know her name offhand, but she was going to go there to El Salvador too and demand his release. Really? You're a female and you're going to defend a guy that raped and brutally murdered another female? Yeah, that's the party for women for you folks. The Democrats. A female Democrat is defending an illegal from MS-13, the most heinous, murderous gang out there, and she's defending a guy that brutally raped and murdered a female. This is bizarre. That's a bizarro world. What female would do that in Congress or the Senate? These people are sick. They're demon possessed, is what they are.
Yeah,
they're demon possessed.
I watched a video today of the there was a news reporter that went down to the CCOT prison there, and that's in what do you call it, El Salvador there. And he was actually talking to some of these gang members, and every one of them had
said they were guilty.
They had demonic, tattoos all over them, and they just look like a bunch of demons, man.
Some of them even admitted that they deserve to be there, that they are criminals, that if they get released, they do the same shit over again.
Right, absolutely.
Get rid of these fuckers. Line them up and shoot them.
Yeah, okay, time on them.
If we're fascists by saying they should be lined up and shot execution style, that's, you know what, then so be it, okay? Because these people deserve everything they get.
Absolutely.
Oh, and since I brought up fascism, I'm going to say this to you Democrat communist bastards, okay? I would rather be a fascist than a communist, okay? Because the difference is, maybe under fascism you have one dictator. Under communism, you have an entire panel, an entire uni party, and they determine and they use the military to enforce everything. You lose individual freedoms and rights under communism. And historically, communist nations have murdered more of their own people than any fascist regime in history.
Yep.
So there you have it. You bunch of communist pieces of shit. Stop voting Democrat. Stop being Democrats. Stop defending Marxism and communism. You want to call me fascist? You want to call any Republican or MAGA fascist? So be it. You know what? I'll tell you what. First of all, we're not fascists. Second of all, even if we were fascists, I'll take that over communism any day. All right? So why don't you get educated, you bunch of idiots?
Right.
Another spiel.
Yeah, nice. So Tig, how's that smoke of yours?
It's really actually good. Flavor wise, there's I get some creamy spice out of it. Some spice I can really actually taste, kind of like the spice and stuff. Yeah. Not a whole lot more though. I'm usually partial to like coffee flavors and cocoa flavors. But actually, for this one, just being kind of a spice type, only having like a creamy spice, and that's about all I detect. It's a very good cigar because it's very smooth, doesn't choke you, isn't harsh at all. It draws real nice and smooth, and real nice and easy. Evenly burns, and holds consistently. It's just a really good cigar. I can tell why they rated it so highly.
Right.
It's pretty decent, If it was any cheaper, I'd say it would be a great everyday smoke.
Yeah.
So yeah, with that being said, I'm going to give you for those that are watching
I've seen those advertised. I often thought about them, but I just never really pulled the trigger on one of those.
Parma Del Mar Shade.
Yep.
But you should try one, Bull. Just try one when you see one.
I definitely will. I've had Palma Del Mars before, and the ones that I'm thinking of, they were actually really good, but I just never tried the Shade.
Try the Shade. It's not bad. Not bad. For the money, it's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
So moving on to yours.
Yeah, it's really good, man. It's been solid all the way through. It's a little loose, so it draws really fast. And I thought it was going to burn really quick, but it's not really doing that. It's pretty much holding its own. I had to ash it once already, so but it does get some really long ashes to it. So it's a decent cigar, and this didn't break the bank either. I think this was like a $8 or $9 stick. So I bought 2 of them. So I got the blue. This is like a burgundy colored band, and it came with a nice foot band with the payback face on it. I don't know if you could see it.
Can't see it very clearly, but
yeah, they actually they talk really highly of it. So it's a, you know, I don't know if it really carries a rating or not yet, but I think, you know, it's worth trying. It's the Room 101, the Big Payback.
Big Payback.
Yeah, if you see it, grab one. I think you'll enjoy it.
All right, where'd you get that at?
All the way through. I picked this up over at I think JFK Smoke Shop there.
Okay. All right. Another thing, I see you wearing a Laconia shirt.
Oh yeah.
Did you go to that bike rally?
No, I didn't.
You didn't?
I just happened to pick up the shirt though. I haven't been out on the East Coast on there, so, or on the eastern states to go to Laconia, but I'd like to. It'd be kind of cool. Have you ever made it out there?
No, I haven't. That's why I asked you if you'd been out there, because I was just curious. I haven't talked to anybody. I think I talked to one older guy that was out there one time years ago, but I don't, you know, I haven't heard anybody that has recently went out there or talked to him. So I was just curious.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah. What do you got? Anything new? Anything else? Anything exciting? Anything news?
Oh no. Let's see. I'm just kind of reading through some of my notes I've taken over the past couple days.
Letitia James might get charged.
Oh, I thought they were going to charge her. So
yeah, I think they are for mortgage fraud.
Yep, that came up. Oh, hey, did you see we had a few more airplanes go down? It's just small aircraft, but
imagine that.
In every instance, everybody aboard was killed. So
yeah.
And they're saying that it's been kind of, you know, that it's higher than normal. So it kind of makes you wonder, you know,
the rate is higher than normal. What did I say that a couple months ago, Bull? That, hey, watch for one after another. Planes having problems, aircraft having problems, crashes and stuff. I mean, not that I'm going to call myself a prophet, but you know, I told you so.
Right.
You know. So yeah.
Right. Well, you know, my thought on that is it'd be easy for people to, you know, go out and, you know, fuck with these airplanes, you know, private airplanes, because they, you know, a lot of them just sit out in the field, you know, that are tied down and, you know, might have, you know, covers over them, and it'd be easy for somebody to go out and fuck with them, and then, you know.
I've said before, you know how many Middle Easterners have been brought over here and have went to college to take up actually learning how to be pilots, how to have pilot license, how to learn how to fly, learning about aero mechanics and stuff like that, aerodynamics and all that stuff. And then, you know, when they were brought over here illegally, how many of them were DEI hires for the airports? And how many of them have maybe sabotaged some of the aircraft, you know? It's you know, some people may say, well, that's kind of a wild theory or whatever, but hey, it's a possibility. I mean, why are they having so many problems? Is that a carryover to the DEI hires for the that dipshit Buttigieg, who was transportation secretary? I mean, but then when he was in charge, there wasn't so much happening, but now all of a sudden, because they're all pissed off because of the Trump administration, maybe they're starting to really go to town on sabotaging these aircraft.
Yeah. Hey, do you remember like last Easter, Biden was celebrating Transgender Visibility Day on Easter Sunday? You remember that?
Yeah, what a puke.
And this Easter Sunday, Trump celebrated the resurrection of Jesus. So, you know, we're not the same.
Yeah, we are definitely not the same. Bring Christianity back to America. You know, that should be another slogan.
Yeah.
Make America Christian again. Maga.
Right. Yeah.
So, hey, all the talk has been about these Illuminati witches going on this so-called Jeff Bezos rocket space to space 10-minute ride or whatever.
What's your theory on that, Tig? Do you have
well, first of all,
theory on this?
I think it's funny because these females, they rode in a giant dildo instead of riding on a dildo for once. Okay. And second of all, it was fake. Every part of it, it was filmed. They have a filmmaker on the so-called rocket with them. They had a filmmaker whose name was put on the logo, which was a satanic logo if you turn it upside down. But then again, people are going to say, oh, that's nonsense. But hey, it is what it is. And, you know, the likes of Katy Perry and what was that other one's name? Lauren Sanchez or whatever. Yeah. These nasty human beings.
Yeah.
These twats. Yeah. This whole thing was staged from the get-go. I mean, that stupid dildo that flew out, that rocket, when you watch a video of that, if that is an AI videotaped footage or whatever the hell that nonsense is, that don't even look like it was a real flight. And then the little capsule comes down, not a scratch on it, not a single burn on, and then the door opens up before they can open it with the tool.
Yeah,
oh, come on.
Well, Bezos looked like a tool when he was trying to open the door, didn't he? It just he puts the tool up to the door, and then the door pops open before he even touches the door. It's like, what is going on here?
If I had the kind of money Bezos had, I wouldn't be half the douchebag that piece of crap is. What an idiot! He's such an idiot. What a douche! What a douche!
Absolutely.
They're all bags. Every one of them that went on that flight, and then they make their stupid little statements, and then Katy Perry gets on the ground and kisses the ground. What an idiot. What a total idiot. How stupid did they look? They look stupid. And I can't believe some people defended that. What a bunch of sheep. What a bunch of if they believe that, then they'll believe anything. Yeah, I'll tell you what, that was more unbelievable than the trip to the frickin' moon. I mean, it's just stupid. The whole thing.
Don't get started on the moon thing.
Yeah, what a bunch of assholes. and the assholes that believe that nonsense. God, you people need to do some research, for crying out loud. I mean, when Hollywood gets together with big government or big billionaires or whatever the hell. And you know what the funny thing was? They did it. I bet they did it. Bezos and that crew. Watch when they did it. They did it, I think, to mock Elon Musk and his SpaceX. I think they did it as a mockery. Yeah, I think they did it as a mockery to him. I really do.
Okay.
I just do. I think it was kind of like to Trump him, so to speak.
Well,
but it was stupid. It was fake. It's all fake. Space travel's fake. I mean, there's like 44 I don't know if it's pilots or space experts or whatever have come out and even said that there's a firmament that's like 73 miles up in the sky, and that you cannot travel any further than that firmament.
Right.
So I would like to see that. I would like somebody to come out with some evidence on that and say, hey, see, look, your space travel's all fake. All right. Because you can only go so far. And you can only go so far anyway. We don't have the technology to stop you from burning up anyway. So, I mean, it's just stupid.
Yeah, I'm just kind of scanning through any more trending news. You got anything else?
Yes. The whole talk about Carmelo Anthony murdered Austin Metcalf. Okay, I want to talk about this, folks, because there's actually people that have got a GoFundMe for this asshole. They've bought a new home and vehicle.
It's not a GoFundMe.
Yeah, whatever. It's a fund me. Why are we giving money to a murderer? Thug.
It's up to like almost $1 million or something like that.
And now they're trying to compare it to Kyle Rittenhouse. Folks, let's put it this way. That was self-defense with Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yeah.
This guy walks into the opposite team. He was not on the team, and he walks into their tent. They tell him to leave. He refuses to leave. They tell him to leave. He takes a knife and he stabs the kid in the heart. That's murder. When you stab someone, it's murder. If you slash someone, it can be assault with a deadly weapon or attempted murder. Murder is a stabbing motion. Okay. He should be on trial for murder, and he should be up for the death penalty. Plain simple. Now they've got footage of when this thug said he was waiting for Uber, and he stood on these people's porch, and they have it on video where they said, hey, this is private property. You don't belong on his porch. And he refused to leave. Kind of like the tent incident. He refused to leave. He was asked nicely to leave, refused to leave. He said, I don't have to do what you tell me to do. Go ahead, call the cops. They aren't going to do nothing. He's on private property. And it's sad that you can't do nothing about it when someone is standing on your porch and refuses to leave. I think he would have, if it was my porch, I think he would have heard, the slide of automatic firearm going back and going forward and watching that. And he would have heard that bolt go forward. Said, look, dude, I could shoot you and pull you in my house and plant a weapon on you, and nobody's going to do nothing about it.
A knife is enough.
Yeah. So I just kind of gave away something for people to do if that incident occurs where somebody's a squatter and won't leave your home, won't leave your porch. All right. It's trespassing. Yeah. You have no right to stand on somebody's property, let alone their porch, to wait for anything, to do anything. Well, all right. Like the lady said, she told him to stand on a sidewalk.
Yeah. If you accidentally walked outside and this dude was standing there, you don't know if you're going to get knifed, you know?
Yeah. Well, and the lady told him, this was previously a while ago. The lady told him, go stand on the sidewalk if you're waiting for an Uber. Well, that's what anybody else would have done. This guy's a troublemaker and he's a thug, and now he's a murderer, and he deserves a death penalty.
And he's free right now.
And he shouldn't get any money, and neither should his family. There should be justice for Austin Metcalf, period.
Yeah, he's profiting off of it now. So
that's sick. You know, there's a biblical Isaiah biblical reading that says in the end times they will call bad good and good bad, and that's what we're seeing nowadays. Really, that's what we're seeing nowadays. So, you know, prophecies in the Bible come true all the time. They continue to. But anyway, like I said, I'm not preaching here, even though it is Easter. But I guess I don't know. I'm just I'm just making a statement. You know, so so this guy's a puke, and he needs to be dealt with swiftly. And it makes me sick that some judge would let him out on a real small bond and let him walk the streets. I mean, unless he's hoping that somebody will knock him off while he's on the streets. You know, I think this, just like O.J. Simpson, I think the family should file a civil suit against him and his family, at least. Yeah. So
and they should do it right now. They shouldn't wait. You know, they should be filing the suit against them right now so they can, you know, at least stop some of the stupid shit.
Yeah, I mean, these people need to be made an example of. I mean, they're again too. Didn't Trump campaign on law and order?
Yep.
If I recall, law and order. What's going on? Do we have too many liberal judges that need to be taken out? Not taken out physically. I mean, you know, literally unseated, removed, you know, impeached or whatever the hell you have to do for being unconstitutional and not seeking justice. Because they're supposed to be, the judicial branch is supposed to seek out justice too.
Right.
And be fair and unbiased.
Right.
So now this incident, and, you know, the media is all over it and everything else. So now what we're going to see is more racial divide because of this situation.
Hey, weren't we supposed to get like the Epstein files?
Yeah.
Didn't we mention that earlier? I'm just bringing it up just to be funny.
Yeah. Did it get shoved under the rug?
Yeah, where did they go? We want to know, inquiring minds.
Don't the people deserve it? And don't the kids deserve justice? But she'll never get because, nobody has the balls. You know what I think? I think there's some big shots in government that have friends on that list.
Oh, yeah.
Friends with lots of money. And I think they're afraid to call them out.
Both sides.
And, the Clintons are on that. The Bidens are on that. The Obamas are on that list.
And I bet you a lot of the Republicans, too.
Uh-huh. I'm sure.
And, maybe a couple of SCOTUSs are on there, too.
And how come we're not talking about Diddy's list, too? And Diddy.
Yeah, that all kind of went away, didn't it?
Yeah, that kind of got shoveled under the rug. This is ridiculous. Why aren't we getting justice? Why aren't we getting rid of criminals in this country? This is disgusting.
Yeah. Hey, I saw this meme. It has a picture of Katy Perry, and it says, "I've just heard Katy Perry stood in a puddle, and now she's a deep sea diver."
Yeah, of course. She didn't
little
fly.
humor for you.
They didn't do nothing. They didn't fly. You know that capsule too. There's an image, a close-up image of that capsule inside the window, where you can clearly see in a spacesuit a dummy. You can see the hand. It's like a mannequin hand. It's clearly a dummy. Yeah.
Yeah, even if they took them up there, in a DC-10 or something and pushed them off and let them, parachute down, that ride alone would be enough to freak anybody the fuck right out,
Yeah.
And, and these pansy-ass bitches didn't have no helmets. They didn't even have pressurized suits. They didn't have nothing.
It was phony. It was phony from the get-go.
Phony deal, people. Come on.
Yeah. And then some people say, well, they didn't even scratch the surface. They only went up for a 10-minute ride. Well, come on. They didn't even go up. They didn't do nothing.
Right.
Filmed.
Yeah.
That's why a filmmaker's name is on the capsule.
Yeah.
That's why a filmmaker's name is on the logo across from Katy Perry's name.
Yeah.
A filmmaker, folks.
What's your parting words there, Chief? Oh wait, let me back that up a second. What's the final words on that Pete? That Palma del Mar?
It's pretty good. It's a good cigar. It's consistent. Like I said, it burns well, burns smooth. I'm thinking that even beginner smokers might be able to smoke it. Intermediate. It does have a good rating and reasonably so. For the money, it's a good smoke. It just depends on what your palate is for cigars. I mean, it's not one of those, a go-to. Oh, I'm going to buy 1,000 of these. I'm going to buy a box of these. But I'll keep one in my humidor. If they costed a little less, they might be like almost an everyday smoke for some.
Oh, nice.
It's a good solid cigar, a solid smoke. I do recommend at least trying it. Right. So what about your smoke then?
Oh, absolute. This, the big payback. Like I said, it's a good stick. Won't disappoint. If you want to spend $7, $8, $9 for it, it's not a bad stick. And he actually has a bunch of different, variations of the payback. So, there was one called the muzzle loader that I want to try out. It's actually got like a 92 or 93 rating. So, that one looks really good. So yeah, I'll definitely try more of these. They're pretty solid, and it's been holding the same flavor all the way through. So it's pretty good. I think a beginner could smoke one of these. It might be a little rough at first, but it kind of mellows out towards the middle and so on. So,
hey, get your Harley out if you haven't gotten it out yet.
Yeah, I know.
Take a ride.
Yeah, I need it, I guess. Maybe wind therapy or something.
Yeah, take a ride. Hey, folks, remember, if you're not suspicious or a little paranoid, then you're not prepared. Be prepared for anything. Don't believe what the government tells you or what the mainstream media tells you. It's all lies. Been lied to since birth, folks. You've been programmed, indoctrinated. Start opening up your mind. Start going down the rabbit hole and do your deep research on stuff. And you know, I think that's my final word. And don't tolerate illegals. If illegals are in your town, if you know illegals are in your town, call your governor, get a hold of ICE, do whatever you can. We need to get these shit bags out of this country.
Yeah.
And, you know, and the same goes for, we need to stop appeasing China. We need to kick them out too.
Right.
So they're our enemy too. So if you didn't see my hat, folks,
because
there's my Second Amendment.
Gonna unfuck itself.
Yeah, that's my Second Amendment statement too, as well.
There you go.
So.
All right. Well, my final words are quit spraying the fucking skies, man.
Oh shit.
It's just, you know, there's no sense in it, period. The only thing I can think of, it's big corporations doing it now. It's, you know, our government doing it for the weather modifications.
Yeah.
And they're doing it all over the world. So, I mean, it's going all over.
Well, some states are trying to now, Florida and a couple states are trying to put an end to it in their state, at least. But it needs to be across the board.
Yeah, when they write those laws, though, they need to make it the airspace from the ground level to at least 73 miles up.
Well,
that needs
RFK Jr.
That needs to be the airspace, because what they're doing is, you know, they're saying, well, you know, you might have that law, but we're flying above the airspace, so it really doesn't affect you. Well, yeah, it does, because that shit comes down. It's
coming down in our territory. And I think Make America Healthy Again, the Health and Human Services Director, Robert Kennedy Jr. needs to get together with our Commander-in-Chief, and they need to file an executive order banning all spraying of chemicals in our sky, in our airspace, and above our airspace.
Well, it's hazardous materials. You know, they're spraying hazardous materials on
aluminum, barium. They're spraying all that shit, and it's affecting us. It's starting to affect people. And you know, another thing too, for you folks out there that don't believe 5G radiation has an effect on people, it does. Why don't you go down that rabbit hole once?
Yeah, maybe we'll bring that up on one of our next shows.
Yeah.
So stay tuned. Might learn a little bit here from Stars, Bars, and Cigars.
You bet.
After all, we smoke cigars, and we might know a few things.
Yeah, we might know a few things, and we're not suicidal either.
Nope. And Anna does not have my permission to use my likeness, my words. It's not allowed to use anything of me.
All the corporations using AI have not my permission to use my likeness, my name, and my voice, or anything.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
in any way.
We could set our own fees on that, so it'd be $1 billion for mine if I find out.
Yeah.
Digs, and $1 billion for Stars, Bars, and Cigars.
Yeah. So there's your warning. Yeah. So thanks for listening, folks.
Yeah, thank you. Follow us on your social medias, and thanks to Rumble, YouTube, and Twitch for tonight for having us, and we'll be out on audio and everything else. So we'll see ya.
You've been listening to Stars, Bars, and Cigars. Two conservative vets telling it like it is. The rally cry for those who appreciate bold truths, served with a side of mayhem.
Roger, outside, decide 4, copies all. We'll keep them sweating until we see Butcher 3. Out.
We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. And if you didn't, well, why are you still here, snowflake? We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, follow us on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, and hear our precious voices on all the streaming services. Until next time, keep the spirit of freedom roaring.